Hey there, I'm Rebecca Bryan from Bryan House Quilts, and in today's episode I'm going to show you my project from Christy Schroeder's new book, Southwest Modern. I'm also going to show you a new half square triangle notion that I tried out and really liked. I'm also going to show you how I picked my colors for my project. So in this episode, I'm going to show you a peek into Christy Schroeder's new book called Southwest Modern. It's a really unique book that mixes travel in the Southwest with quilt projects. It's really cool. I think you'll like it. And I'm also going to show you a new notion that I tried out. So I cannot stand making half square triangles, but half square triangles are kind of a big deal in quilting, right? So I tried out this new thing called Perfect Half Square Triangles. It's made by Lee Heinrich of Freshly Pieced. And what I don't like about making half square triangles is all the trimming that you have to do after you make all the half square triangles. So I'm going to show you the notion, the Perfect Half Square Triangles notion, and I really liked it. So if you hate trimming half square triangles, then you might like it too. So stay tuned. And I'm also going to show you how I picked my colors for my project from Christy's book. I went with a kind of a wild, not at all earth tone color palette. So I'm going to show you how I chose my colors, and I'll give you a tip on how to choose your colors when you're picking wild and crazy colors. Okay, so full disclosure, when I started my project, I set out to make some pillows for my chairs. But as the project went along, I really felt like I had to make the full mini quilt. So full disclosure, the video might be a little bit confusing because at first I'm making 2 pillows. And then as you can see, my project is an actual mini quilt. Before I get into showing you how I made my project, I want to give you a sneak peek into Christy's book, Southwest Modern. So Christy, this is Christy Schroeder, she's written a book about 18 travel-inspired quilts. And when you open the book, you will be just struck by the amazing photography. So this picture is one of my favorites, and I want to jump right into that picture and go traveling with Christy. I want to go traveling with my friends, and I wish that I had traveled more in West Texas when I actually lived in Houston, Texas. So lesson learned, when you're in Texas, make sure to visit West Texas to visit all these beautiful places. So interspersed with the fun quilt projects are these beautiful pictures of different places in the Southwest, and the pictures are just amazing. So this picture is from Marfa, and to give you a taste of what Christy writes about as far as travel. So there's a blurb about Marfa, and then over here there are different places that Christy likes in Marfa itself. And this is the project called Thunderbird. It's one of my favorites, and again, more beautiful photography. And so here is a glimpse of the actual Thunderbird quilt. And I think you can see why I like Thunderbird. It's just right up my alley in terms of its graphic, and it's bold and in terms of color. So of course you can see why I like it. So interspersed between all the quilts, the wonderful quilt projects, are these amazing pictures of different places in the Southwest that I now want to visit, including this place right here. Isn't that fun? Okay, so the quilt project that I am making is called the Angelos Mini, and this is a picture of the actual Angelos Mini, and this is a mini, but it's a pretty large mini. It would make a nice baby quilt, for example, or a table topper, a table topper. I'm actually going to make this portion of the Angelos Mini. I think that this little segment here would make a wonderful pillow for one of my chairs. So this is what I'm gonna make. And of course, Christy's color palette is a little bit more earthy than mine. Mine is lots of colors. So I'm going to change up the color a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I've got this beautiful pile of different colored fabrics, and what I would like to try to do is experiment with color palettes that are Persian rug influenced and Moroccan influenced, and maybe Mexican Fiesta palette influence, or Mexican color palette influence. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to highlight some of these bright colors by choosing earth colors to go along with it. So I've pre-selected some color palettes and I haven't decided yet what I'm going to choose. But I think what draws me to these Moroccan color palettes are the bright colors, obviously. And when I study them closer, I think the winning formula is choosing an earthy colored fabric and pairing it with a jewel tone fabric. So what I've tried to do in my own palettes here, my rough draft palettes, is I've tried to pick an earthier fabric, like this red, for example. This is a brick red, and I've tried to pair it with some brighter and bolder colors. So as a rule of thumb, I chose a earthy colored fabric, and then I chose a bright colored fabric, and then I chose a fabric that's a little bit more pastel. So a light colored fabric. And what I'm trying to do here is use the earth tone fabric and the light fabric to really make the bright color pop. So now all I have left to do is to actually pick the color palette I want to work with. And I think I'm going to try to do 2 pillows. So I'm going to pick 2 palettes. And I want it to be fun and bright. And then, so the danger here is that I'm being a little bit experimental with my colors, and the danger here is I can get a little bit too experimental and then end up not liking the project in the end. So it's a little bit of a risk. And I think in a case here, when you're working with color palettes like this, is the more the better. So if I were to use all these colors together, I think I would have a really strong color palette. But because I'm only going to choose 3, I think it's a little bit more risky. So I'm going to try to make at least 2 pillows. So I really like this combination here. And I think maybe if I used the less bright orange here, that might work to make that pink pop. But I like these. I like this one, and I like this one. Okay, so I think I've got my 2 color palettes I want to work with. So I want to work with this set and this set. And as you can see, it took me a little bit to figure out which ones I wanted to work on. I actually like all 6 color palettes as they are, maybe except for this one. I might intersperse these 2 a little bit. And this one I really like, but I think it would be on the safer side because it's a monotone pattern. So I'm gonna stick with these 2 for now, and I'm gonna get a little bit outside of my color comfort zone and see what happens. So my formula I went with was an earth tone, a bright color, and then a lower tone here. Well, this one's also lower tone, so maybe this is the earth tone, this is the bright color, and this is the low saturation fabric. Okay, so now that I've got my colors chosen, my next step is to get to making. To make the Angelos Mini, this extra mini, I'm gonna need 7 sets of half square triangles. And I'm kind of following Christy's instructions here, but I'm gonna make less half square triangles. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm gonna use this nifty product from Lee Heinrich of Freshly Pieced, and I'm gonna try to make my half square triangles using this. And I cannot stand making half square triangles, so I'm hoping that this tool here will help me get over my distaste of half square triangles. So to make, and so you can purchase this tool at freshlypieced.com, and it comes with different sizes of half square triangles. I'm using the 3-inch finish ones, but the actual product itself comes with all sorts of different half square triangles. So if you hate half square triangles, this might be something you might like to use as well. I want to give you a closer look into how these half square triangle templates work. So I'm going to show you how you use them. So I've got 2 of my fabrics here, and then you're going to stack your fabrics, and since I'm using solids, it doesn't matter which way I stack them because there's no right or wrong side, but it says to stack 2 pieces of fabric, right sides facing, and then lay the paper template on top of the fabric. And so I cheated a little bit. I didn't quite cut my fabric to the size of the paper, and that's okay. As long as the fabric's bigger than the paper, it really shouldn't matter. Okay, and then my next step is to pin the fabric on top. Pin the paper on top of the fabric stack. So I'm going to do that now. And now that I've got the paper pinned through the 2 layers of fabric, I'm going to sew. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, according to the instructions, I'm going to sew along the dotted lines. And then that should be it for sewing. So let me get my sewing machine out and I'll sew these. At this point, I've got 8 half square triangles made using the half square triangle template from Lee Heinrich at Freshly Pieced. So now I'm going to press them, and then hopefully once I get them all pressed and measured, I won't have to trim them. So I'm going to press them. At this point, I've got my half square triangles pressed, and I want to measure them and make sure that I don't have to do any trimming. So I'm just making sure. So these half square triangles should be 3.5 inches, and this one is, and I think the rest of them are. So I am super happy about that. So my biggest complaint with half square triangles is that oftentimes when you use a fast method to make them, you have to do a lot of trimming once you get to this point. Now, using this template, it seems like you don't have to do the trimming, and I'm really pleased with that. So I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of my half square triangles using these templates. Now I've got my half square triangles all sewn, and I didn't have to do any trimming. They all came out to be 3.5 inches, and they'll finish at 3 inches. So now what I need to do is follow the rest of the instructions in Christy's book, and then I'll have my mini quilt. Okay, I have to interrupt right here. This is where I decided that I had to make the full mini quilt and not just the 2 pillows, because these colors are just too fun not to mix together. That's the that's Okay, that's the project I made from Christy Schroeder's new book, Southwest Modern. And remember, I set out to make 2 pillows for my couches downstairs. Well, as the project went on, I really felt that I had to make the full miniature quilt just so I could mix all those fun, bright colors together. And I'm really glad I did. I love the way it turned out. The colors in my mini are bold and bright, and Christy's pattern is geometric. It's a perfect combination. If you love geometric quilts, then I think you'll really like Christy's new book, Southwest Modern. I'll have a link for you to find the book in the description below. Also, if you want to try out the half square triangle notion that I showed you, I'll have the link for that in the comments in the description below. And again, the name of the notion is called Perfect Half Square Triangles, and it's by Lee Heinrich. All right, that's all I have for you in today's episode. Thanks for watching. Bye.